Why does Taiwan hold such tremendous significance for two of the world's superpowers, China and the United States? Today, we delve into an issue that's been simmering at the heart of global geopolitics: the escalating tensions over Taiwan. This small island is stirring big waves, with China on one side, claiming it as part of its territory, and the United States on the other, increasing its military presence in the region. Taiwan, meanwhile, stands at the center, its future hanging in the balance. The stakes are high, as any misstep could trigger a ripple effect, potentially altering the global power dynamics. So what makes Taiwan such a hotbed of contention for these superpowers? Why is it that neither side is willing to back down? To help us unravel this complex issue, we have invited two foreign policy experts, Victor Gao from the Center for China and Globalization, and David Sachs from the Council on Foreign Relations. Begin with China. Why does this small island mean so much to them? According to Victor Gao, a foreign policy expert at the Center for China and Globalization, the answer lies in a complex blend of history, geopolitics, and strategy. First, let's delve into the historical claim. Taiwan has been a part of China since ancient times. The island was governed as a part of China's Fujian province until it was ceded to Japan in the late 19th century. Following the Second World War, Taiwan was returned to Chinese rule. However, after the Chinese Civil War, the nationalists fled to Taiwan, effectively creating two Chinas. Now, let's pivot to geopolitics. Taiwan's location is incredibly strategic. It sits in the heart of the East China Sea and the South China Sea, two vital waterways for global trade. Controlling Taiwan would give China a stronger hand in these waters, further solidifying its regional dominance. The strategic considerations are also paramount. Taiwan is at the forefront of China's reunification goal, a dream cherished since the end of the Civil War. It's viewed as the last piece in the puzzle of national reunification, a matter of immense pride and national identity. However, it's not just about pride. Taiwan is also a strategic necessity. Its control would give China an edge in its ongoing power tussle with the U.S. Taiwan is part of the U.S.'s first island chain strategy, aimed at containing China's growing influence. If China were to gain control over Taiwan, it would significantly weaken this strategy, giving China more freedom to project its power. But what if peaceful reunification efforts fail? It's here that the potential use of force comes into play. While Beijing has always preferred peaceful reunification, it hasn't ruled out the use of force, further escalating tensions in the region. As Victor Gao puts it, for China, Taiwan is not just a matter of pride, but of strategic necessity. Now, let's turn to the United States. What are their stakes in Taiwan? To understand the American perspective, we'll look at the insights provided by David Sachs, a foreign policy expert from the Council on Foreign Relations. According to Sachs, the United States' interest in Taiwan is threefold: strategic, ideological, and as part of its broader China policy. From a strategic standpoint, Taiwan is a vital link in what's known as the First Island Chain, a series of islands that stretch from Japan to the Philippines. Control of these islands gives the United States the ability to hinder Chinese naval movement, providing a crucial buffer for American military operations in the Pacific. Ideologically, Taiwan embodies the democratic values that the United States holds dear. As one of the most vibrant democracies in Asia, Taiwan serves as a model for the kind of government the United States hopes to see more of in the region. Thus, the United States has a vested interest in ensuring Taiwan's continued independence and democratic governance. Lastly, the United States-Taiwan policy is a critical component of its broader China policy. In the face of China's rising power, the United States sees Taiwan as a lever to maintain a balance of power in the region. By supporting Taiwan, the United States sends a clear message to Beijing that any attempts to alter the status quo by force won't be tolerated. However, it's important to note that the United States' approach to Taiwan is somewhat ambiguous. While it's committed to helping Taiwan defend itself, it hasn't explicitly promised to defend Taiwan in the event of a Chinese attack. This is a strategic ambiguity designed to deter China from launching an attack, while avoiding a commitment that could draw the United States into a major war. In David Sachs's words, the U.S. sees Taiwan as a crucial element in maintaining a balance of power in Asia. This perspective underscores the significance of Taiwan in the grand scheme of global politics and the high stakes involved in the U.S.-China-Taiwan triangle. But what about Taiwan? What do the people who live there think about these tensions? In the midst of the superpower tug-of-war, Taiwan finds itself at the epicenter. The perspectives within Taiwan are as diverse as its vibrant culture, reflecting a multitude of hopes, fears, and aspirations. At one end of the spectrum, there's a strong desire for independence. This sentiment is often fueled by a proud sense of distinct identity. Many Taiwanese feel they've built a society that's different from mainland China, one that values democracy, human rights, and freedom of speech. They see independence as a way to safeguard these values to write their own destiny. However, this desire is tempered by a fear of conflict. There's a real understanding that any move toward formal independence could provoke a military response from China. The specter of war is a chilling one, and the cost of conflict is a price many are unwilling to pay. Then, there's the hope for a peaceful resolution. This is perhaps the common thread that ties all Taiwanese together, regardless of their political leanings. They yearn for a future where they can continue to thrive without the constant threat of aggression. All these views shape Taiwan's response to the pressure from both China and the US. Taiwan has to navigate a delicate balance. On one hand, it strives to assert its identity and safeguard its democratic values. On the other, it has to avoid provoking its powerful neighbor to the west. The US, with its strategic interest in the region, is seen as a crucial ally. But there's an understanding that this relationship, too, needs careful handling. After all, Taiwan does not want to be a pawn in the US-China rivalry. In conclusion, Taiwan's position in this geopolitical struggle is complex. It's a balancing act, a dance on a tightrope. But one thing is clear. The Taiwanese people, with their resilience and determination, are the ones who will ultimately shape their island's future. Despite the external pressures, the voice of the Taiwanese people remains crucial in shaping the island's future. So, what could be the potential outcomes of this high-stakes standoff? Let's explore the possibilities. One potential outcome could be peaceful reunification, a scenario China has long advocated. In this case, Taiwan would become a part of China, much like Hong Kong. Beijing argues that this would bring stability and prosperity. However, critics warn it could undermine Taiwan's democratic institutions and freedoms, with potential ripple effects in the region. Another possible outcome is the continued status quo. Taiwan remains self-governed, maintaining a delicate balance between asserting its sovereignty and avoiding provocation. This scenario might seem attractive as it maintains relative peace. Yet, it also leaves Taiwan in a persistent state of uncertainty, and the threat of conflict never completely disappears. Then, there's the scenario none of us want to imagine, an escalation to conflict. If provoked, China might resort to force, plunging the region into a crisis. This could have severe global implications, disrupting trade routes, sparking a refugee crisis, and potentially drawing other nations into the fray. It's a grim possibility, but one that can't be ruled out. Finally, there's the prospect of international mediation. This would involve third-party countries or organizations stepping in to mediate between the US, China, and Taiwan. This could lead to negotiations and potentially a lasting resolution. However, it would require delicate diplomacy, and there's no guarantee all parties would accept the results. Each of these scenarios carries its own set of global implications. Peaceful reunification could reshape the geopolitical landscape, impacting democracies worldwide. Continued status quo means ongoing tension and uncertainty. An escalation to conflict could destabilize the world economy. And international mediation could set a precedent for resolving similar disputes in the future. As our experts have highlighted, the stakes are high and the potential outcomes are far-reaching. The future of Taiwan isn't just about this island nation. It's a microcosm of the larger tussle between superpowers, with implications that extend far beyond its shores. As we've seen, Taiwan sits at the intersection of strategic, political, and ideological interests of two superpowers. We've unpacked China's desire for control and the United States' commitment to maintaining the balance of power in the region. Both nations have been drawn to Taiwan's strategic location, its technological prowess, and its symbolic value in the global power play. We've also explored Taiwan's precarious position at the heart of this tug-of-war, and the potential outcomes that could shape the course of international relations in the coming decades. The stakes are high, the dynamics complex, and the implications far-reaching. The resolution of this issue won't be simple or swift. It will require continued dialogue, diplomacy, and a deep understanding of the interplay between national interests and global stability. While the future of Taiwan remains uncertain, one thing is clear: its importance on the global stage is undeniable.